this is kind of one that
yeah, this doesn't
really not a controversial issue.
I don't think so.
I mean, I think the only thing that'd be controversial that we make sure that we do it for other companies also as well. You know.
Yes.
As long as they're improving our infrastructure and giving, the rural Iowa better and adequate broadband, I have no problem with that.
Including putting a 100-foot pole in the ditch.
Yeah. So yeah, it proves that.
I'm not giving up on that.
Do you want the 100-foot poles in the ditch, do you, Rich?
They don't bother me a bit, but up several of them.
You know, in 6 weeks, I don't care.
Carl, this is, I always used to tell all the rookies, once you get above 35 feet, it makes no difference.
Yeah, it just happened to coordinate a mile with the airport. It's just.
Yeah, Sac County, they didn't do anything, Calhoun, they did one.
I see there was this one blue down there on private right.
I seen that.
I don't believe that's 100, I think that's a 90. I don't know what the elevation is. But I'm also pretty sure that not getting service where a couple of those places are at. Morning, John.
No. No.
What's up?
See if you can pull up.
What's up?
See if you can pull up YouTube and get
On your.
Morning, Dean.
I'm getting an error on that.
Good morning, everyone.
It's saying it's broadcasting.
When we go to this, it's saying this.
Yeah.
I will wait in the hall.
Yeah, live.
Morning, Courtney.
Morning.
Yeah, I don't know if it's me or if it's.
Yeah, try different. Oh, get off. I do it on Chrome or something. Try to use it. Yeah.
Three and one.
Yeah, you get it twice.
Three.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I think it's your browser.
Well, God, it worked wonderfully. I didn't see my son all weekend.
But he's happy now.
He's down there.
I love it. He's got a good connection now. So.
He says that's a good one.
It is one thing to disagree or.
I know.
Respectful.
But when it got to that point, it's like, okay, you've established ground rules now. There are none.
I say once somebody starts threatening my life, that phone call's over.
Game over.
Yeah. As I write down your phone number and turn it over to the.
It is one thing to disagree or. Respectful.
You got the video playing on a browser somewhere?
No, it shouldn't even say anything. I got my earphones plugged in. It should give me sound.
Get that feedback the other day too. We never did figure out who that laptop.
I don't know who it was, but
It was
Oh,
no
on the
name.
meeting?
There was no name on it.
I was trying to figure out who that was
They
too. but-
never said anything, they made no comments, but. So I don't know who that
Like
was.
less people invited out that yet.
Well, they were picking up a pretty good echo. They had an open mic on it. Where was that?
And that's why I told you, I'm like, Rich, I can't understand you.
Yeah.
Morning, Dean. Good morning, Neil.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning, Neil.
I had dressed up a little bit better. I thought I was going to Manning at noon. I thought I was going to be down there by then. I had that wrong. All right, it's 9 o'clock. I think we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We'll start off with the pledge of allegiance this morning.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Morning.
We have an agenda in front of us today. There was a change I tried to make on Friday, and we were too late to get it in. I'd like to make the recommendation that we consider it. And what it is, it's a letter of support for Western Iowa Networks. They're filing for a grant. That grant is due by the end of the week, so I would like to add it to the agenda for today for discussion and may possibly approve that. Do you have any objections to that?
I'll make a
that
motion that
addition.
we approve. I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda with that addition.
I'll second that motion.
All right. Right, now I need a motion to approve the full agenda then.
That's okay.
Nope.
You can approve the agenda with the addition.
With the addition?
Yeah.
All right, very good. All right, minutes, and that would be the minutes for
Need to vote?
last
Oh,
Monday.
you gotta back up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry about that. All those in favor of approval of the agenda, say aye.
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 And opposed? Motion carried. All right, the minutes for November the 9th. That would have been last Monday. Everybody
I'll
have it?
make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the minutes for November the 9th meeting. I'll call for the vote for approval. All those in favor say aye.
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 And opposed. Motion carries. We have the minutes from, okay, now we have the minutes from Friday, November 3rd. Everybody have a chance to review those.
I'll move that we approve the minutes of the meeting we held Friday, November 13th.
I'll second that motion.
Go ahead, Dean.
All right, we have a motion and for the approval of Friday, November 13th minutes. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. All right. First thing up is Zach, secondary roads.
Morning. I have plans in front of you for surfacing for N33. This be from Highway 30 south, basically to Dedham. I guess the short version of that is basically milling off 1.5 inches and putting 3 inches back, along with doing paved shoulders, 5 inches of base material, and then the 3 inches of new material on top, widening out 4 foot on each side. This will be being paid for with some STBG funds, as well as farm to market funds.
That resurfacing does not include the city of Willie, correct?
Correct. We're omitting that area where we're omitting the city of Willie where there's new pavement, as well as all the bridges, and we're staying out of the railroad crossings as well.
Are we stopping in Dedham before the river crossing, or are we gonna skip over and go down to the city limit?
Down towards the city limits, down towards that next bridge, basically, we're stopping at right north of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll do the area between the two bridges down by Dedham.
Okay.
The area in Dedham we'll do as a separate project at a later date. There's more other things to deal with going through town. So.
I think the difference in on that. Price of oil's been down a little bit.
It has been down a little bit. It's we'll see where we're at. We're estimating roughly $3 million for the whole thing, with the base widening and all the widening and everything.
Okay.
What was the estimate cost on that, you said?
Just over $3 million.
Is there have to be any local money put into this thing?
I don't think so. I think we're gonna have enough with the FTBG funds and the FM funds to cover us.
Okay.
Originally, I had planned for that, Gene, in the 5-year plan, just in case, because I wasn't sure, but I think we're gonna be all right there.
All right, that's good.
When are you gonna put this out for bids?
It'd be the February DOT leg, February 16th.
So this is going with the wider shoulder too as well.
Yep, this would be similar to the other paved shoulders that have been done, that Dave had done the last few years that they've done asphalt.
The Breeder Road and the Templeton Road.
Correct.
Yep. Well, that's good. That makes an awful nice road when it's done.
It does. We couldn't quite get to the 4 foot without the earth shoulder we did this summer. We needed to do that in some of those areas, but I think with what we have done, there won't be a lot of room outside of the 4 foot paved area, but we'll have enough.
I've got it at 29 feet wide. How does that compare to the Breda Blacktop?
I believe Breed is a little bit wider because the original road was a little bit wider. If I remember right, that was a 24 foot road with paved shoulders on outside of it rather than a 22 foot. I think. I could be wrong on that, but I'm not sure.
Well, I think we did, the shoulders aren't quite as wide on the Breeder project for that reason.
Okay, maybe that was it then.
Yeah. And this road here is typically, and it may be just the appearance of it because of the valleys and stuff, but it's awful narrow. And this is one road that we can get the shoulders on, we need to do. Do you think the shoulder dirt work that we've done is going to be stable enough for this by that time?
Yes, most of the areas where we put the earthwork was the area that's going to be outside of the actual paving. We had 4 foot of shoulder everywhere.
Okay.
This is basically a place that's going to be outside of the paved shoulder.
All right. Good enough.
I am in favor of widening the shoulder in this project, but we need to keep in mind that we need to be selective on which projects we do this because it is expensive. And by putting the asphalt on the shoulder of any project, you're kind of taking away from another project. So don't get me wrong, I'm in favor of it on this project, but I think we need to be selective on which projects we have a base widening.
I would agree with that, Neil. I think you're spot on.
And I'll agree with that too, but I think one of the things by adding that 4 foot, we're not going to have that edge cracking off and stuff. Like if you look at the old roads that we have that aren't widened, that heavy traffic axles run right on the edge of that road and it's flaking off. So that's, I think, one of the positives of spending the extra money. You probably get a little more life out of that edge of that road.
I'd agree with both of you guys. That's Gene, that's a good point, and Neil, that's a good point. You know, I think traffic counts are gonna have to come into play here. You know, I mean, the lesser used roads probably don't need as much and probably don't need the shoulder.
So are you needing a motion to approve this?
Yes,
And
please.
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve these plans and specifications for the project N33.
I will second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion on that? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carried.
And we'll have the plans here for all of you to sign. I'll just leave them with Courtney for whenever you guys can stop in, so. One other item on this, a project development certification I gotta send in, talks about who's gonna sign the contract when we get to that point. Historically, I know the chairman has always done that. The DOT did come up with a way to allow the board to do a resolution to allow me to sign it. It basically all depends on who wants to get logged into the digital signing part of Doc Express to be able to do this. So we don't need to do that part of it now, but I wanted to have some discussion on your thoughts on whether you wanted to have the chair sign it come February or March, or whether you wanted me to, just so I can put it down on this sheet that I got to send in.
I think the last time we'd authorized the chair to just stop by and sign, and I think that's probably an okay procedure. Not that I don't trust our engineer, it's just, I think I'd like to see that participation in that.
You know, I don't know that makes any difference to either way because it's gonna have to be on board approval anyway. Am I right, Zach?
If you're gonna have me do it, you'd have to do a resolution for each project that we're doing to allow me to sign that contract. That's the way they have it set up. It's a matter of who wants to get registered for the digital ID through Doc Express. It's not horrible, but it's time consuming. I think Neil went through that last year. I believe you had a sign in for that.
It is quite time consuming getting set up to sign in.
Well, I think that's probably one of the advantages of having Zach doing it. You don't have to, I mean, it's just like what we did with that substance abuse grant. We made it, Joanne can do it because it's every time you went in there and changed the signatures, it just took forever, and it's just an unreal process. I have no problem either way.
That's what you said, right? Sorry.
Yeah, I don't have any problem either way. You know, if we get to where we need to submit this, you know, maybe we can have a motion to approve Zach to sign for it at that time. Is that possible? Do something like that?
No,
I don't need to know now. I'll put one or another I put on this form. Either way, we can still change it. It's just when come March, we'll have to know for sure then. And so we could, it may be ahead of time a little bit, so we can get set up in the system if whoever's gonna do it, so.
okay.
Otherwise, that's all I have on this project, and I really don't have anything else unless you have any other questions.
Zach, is the Houghton project completed?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
The project that we talked about on Pleasant Ridge, do we have to, is this gonna cost us any money to have DOT do a study?
I don't believe so. I don't think it's any dollars, it's just a time thing.
Okay, now, do we, I know that there has been studies go contrary to what you really want. So are we bound by their?
I don't think so. I mean, you could leave it as it is and not do anything, but if you want to do something else, now you have a study that says
You should do So
So,
guard against that.
possibly.
What we're talking about is having a DOT study done on the Pleasant Ridge Road where the city would like, they're having some enforcement issues there because they have dual speed limits. And Zach and I talked about doing a DOT study, but we all very much aware what happened in Glidden a few years ago. They wanted to lower the speed limit and it wound up being told that they need to raise it. So sometimes you have to be careful what you ask for, and I don't know whether this is one of those that we should just, it'd be nice to have the DOT study. You have somebody that has some expertise look at it, but do you want to explain to them how it works?
Basically, some sort of a traffic investigation or study needs to be done to evaluate if you want to change the speed limit. The DOT has the personnel and the capability that they do those all the time for outside agencies other than themselves. However, it's not required you have the DOT do it. You can do your own, or there is some language that specifies certain speed limits in different districts that you can kind of follow as well. So that gets into the Iowa code part of it. So there's different ways to, I guess, look at that and tackle that, if you want to say it that way.
Are we only talking the area on the west end of Pleasant Ridge there on the south side?
On the west end, yeah, the south side of the road.
That's the only thing that's in the county limits, right?
That's only that's county. That's only that's ours. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're talking less than about a quarter mile.
Yeah, I'd say a little strong quarter. And I think they are posted at 25.
When you get to their
And I think it's the abrupt from 55 to 25 that's kind of the issue. And if we would go with a 45, that they would see coming right off of 71, that might not lead to as much deceleration because there's been more acceleration.
So would a study go ahead and the DOT make a suggestion then on what the speed should be? Is that correct?
No, we haven't done anything yet. I'm just wondering.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what they would do though, correct?
That's what they would do, and they look at current traveling speed, and I believe it's like the 85th percentile is what they use. They factor in a lot of different things, but
Sure.
It's really about how fast or how people feel that they can travel safely across there is really what it boils down to. The Office of Traffic and Safety actually has a little video that does a pretty good representation of how they go about this. But that's what they would do though, yes.
As I understand it, if we chose to change the speed limit there, we'd have to get the parameters of the footage and the distance so we could give it to John. So John would have to make the ordinance and make it reflect what the footages are to make it legal.
Right.
So
Make it enforceable.
So I don't know if we could just go out there and post it, and you really can't make anything stick, but deterrence sometimes is half the value there anyway. John, would you recommend that we go with the full-blown ordinance, or would you have another recommendation there that kind of?
Well, I think I mentioned this to you, Rich, put a speed zone ahead sign in. I mean, in my mind, the speed limit should be 35 from 71. Nobody can get up to 55 and then coming back down to 25, because that's a very short distance. But I don't know, do we have through vehicles coming through, or is it city traffic, or what type of traffic is going through there. I never take that way as a shortcut.
I did not ask, but I do know the comment was that the local residents in that area are having issues with, they think is higher speed, and the chief of police here in Carroll, we talked about it. What appears to be high speed might be 30, and you think they're going 50. I mean, it's all in the view of the person, but he seems to think that there is quite a bit of higher speed traffic there. And he was just looking for a little help to get maybe that broke down just a little bit. And that's not a bad idea, because I don't believe we'd have to do an ordinance for a speed limit ahead sign.
So you could do that right away. Yep. And that'd be something. I expect, based on very limited experience, that the recommendation is gonna be probably a 35 zone. I don't see the point of on Highway 71 going up to 45 and then back down to 25. It wouldn't surprise me if it would just be a 35 zone. I would put a speed zone ahead sign, and I'd get the DOT study if there's no expense. I know there's an outfit out of Des Moines that the city has used for traffic studies. And my impression is that's several $1,000s. I hesitate to suggest the board spend money.
Yeah, that was my concern.
I'll double check that. Everything that what I've understood from the DOT is that those are no cost to other government agencies, but I'll double check into that.
Yeah. And just like I said, John, I'd hate to spend $1,000 and we can basically put up we probably have the sign in the post, and yeah, it costs money, but we already have that we can put up and see if we can use that to kind of curtail some of that.
Because by default, it's the county payment, so it's 55.
Right.
Well, people don't need to go 55 from 71 over to Pleasant Ridge where those houses start.
Correct.
I mean, that just is not. Anyway, I get the study, and I get something done. So I put up a speed zone ahead sign.
Can we place that sign? I don't know about distance wise, but can that would be in the right spot if we did decide to go to a speed limit, just pull one sign off, but the other one down?
Probably, and it's not too big a deal to pop in a base either. I mean, it's not the end of the world either way, so.
Okay. All right, very good. I think that's something we maybe should do right away. I agree with John, and then look into that cost. If we're gonna have a large cost, then I'm either gonna go back to the city and ask him for some type of recoverance on that, or maybe we'll just try the sign for a while and see how that maneuvers things. And if it does work, I would agree. All right, just let me know and if I have to go back to where I was. Okay, very good.
Thank you, Zach.
Thank you.
Anything else for Zach?
Nope.
All right, thanks, sir. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Rich, if you don't mind, I'll take a second here and introduce Ben. This is our new technician. This is, we hired. He started today. He's pretty excited, so we will work done, but thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry.
Dalton, can you repeat his name again? I didn't quite hear that.
I'm sorry. Ben Lindy.
Okay, well, welcome aboard.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, welcome.
In the IT department.
Lindy. L-A-N-D-E. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Dalton.
Nice to meet you all.
Yep, nice to meet you. Okay, we have a plat in front of us this morning.
Did you guys just, you have more than that?
It's like there's that one, and then one came through last week as well.
Yeah, I had.
Oh, I missed that altogether.
So the earliest one is the lot one of the northeast, and 328534 for Albert Wink. Then there's another one for Albert Wink.
Is that the one that had the wrong info on it?
I think it was just an updated plat.
And the other one I had was the one in the old Carrollton. So if you guys have seen them, we might as well get those approved, but,
You have one for Old Carrollton?
well, that one just came in today. So you
Oh,
might not have seen that.
I have not seen that one.
I've not seen that one either.
So then the two should be just the two for Albert Wake.
I have one for Albert Wink. I don't know if I have two.
Stephanie thought it came in last week.
Came in Friday. It would have came from Sarah.
Maybe seen a correction.
Weren't it,
That one?
Is it the same one, but just a correction?
Yes.
Oh, you know, but it is.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. They were both the same.
Okay,
It looks to me like they're just splitting off an acreage.
that's what I got out of it.
Yeah.
These look totally different to me. They're in different sections.
Who they are. It was that the mistake? They were in the wrong section?
No, this one's 33. This one's 32.
Yeah, they're different.
So this is. So do you all have the one for lot 1 of the northeast in section 32?
I do. Quarter section 32.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any
That's
other?
what,
Do you have any other ones? Just the section 32?
That's the only one that's with the agenda.
yeah, that's the only one with the agenda.
Okay, so that's the one we want to approve. It's the acreage that comes off. The 4.52 acres.
Net is 5.4.
Yeah, I think that's the only one that I've got is that section 32.
Well, what we got from Sarah, I just looked back, what we got from Sarah on Friday is the same thing. It's basically the description that is the second page of the plat that we have in the agenda is what we got from Sarah on Friday.
Okay. All right, so I'm looking for a motion to approve that plat.
I'll make a motion to approve that plat. The Wink plat.
Okay. I'll second that. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 And opposed? Motion carries. All right, next thing up is the COVID-19, the mask mandate, the resolution that we passed Friday. We said that we would bring it back for discussion today. And does anybody have an opinion or discussion on this?
Not yet.
What, let me know what it is. Oh, you would put
I'll
them in the
put
chat.
them up in chat.
Sounds good. Carl said if there's any comments from the public, it'll pop up in the chat. You should be able to see it on your right-hand side of your screen. So if you see him typing, it could take a little bit. I'm sure you all get plenty of phone calls, texts, emails over the weekend.
Yeah, I will start out. I had a lot of conversations through email, chats, text, phone calls, whatever. And most people are very supportive of the fact that we're trying to do something here to control this virus with the numbers escalating beyond what they should be. I am, at this point, very happy with what we've done. I don't think that there needs to be anything else done. And I think we just need to review this every once in a while, but my opinion is I don't think we want to shortchange ourselves and drop it too quick. I don't want to have us get control and then open the gate and then we have another resurge again.
We have gotten a lot of comments. All of us have, I'm sure. And I think the main thing with the negative comments was some concern that wearing a mask all the time, and that would be the employees mostly, in some cases is shown that's to disadvantage. I see some, most, matter of fact, employers have plexiglass shields between the cashier and the public. And what I'm thinking is maybe we should have use of a plexiglass shield between the business employee and the public is allowed in, should be allowed in lieu of a facial mask. What is the board's thought on that? And the customers would still need to wear a mask. And my thought there is when you're in a business, you can't control who you're going to be in contact with. So you should always wear a mask as a customer. But as an employee, particularly a single employee who is working behind a cash register, for example, if they have a plexiglass shield, I think that should be permitted as opposed to wearing a mask all day.
Couldn't that flex shield be kind of considered a face covering?
Well, not in our ordinance, it isn't. I think we need to add to our ordinance that use of a plexiglass type shield between the a business employee and the public is allowed in lieu of a face mask. And I'll admit that it gets a little bit, I don't like that situation where there are several employees, but where there is a single employee and a good plexiglass, or the employees have already been all exposed to each other. I think a plexiglass should be allowed in lieu of facial covering.
Well, I guess I never thought about that, Neil. It's good that you brought that up. The only thing is that you know, I think some of these plexiglass dividers are somewhat not, they're not going to do any good. In fact, a good one that analogy that I have is in the Breda post office. It's about an 18, the counter is probably 6 feet, and the plexiglass shield is about 18 inches wide. So, you know, I mean, I doubt if anybody's going to probably even get behind that plexiglass shield. So they have to be adequate so that they are actually protecting both the people on both sides of that plexiglass. I don't know how we're going to, I don't know how you, you know, I mean, I guess I don't know how you enforce something like that. And there's no enforcement of anything here, but I mean, I guess I would have to think about that for a little bit. I mean, it's good. It's a good suggestion. I get it.
Well, I'll use a Carroll post office and an auto parts store, which I was in, and where they do is plexiglass, and a hardware store. And I feel very good with the plexiglass that they have. And as a customer, I think I should wear a facial covering, but as a employee, of the post office or the hardware store, or the auto parts place, I think the plexiglass is sufficient and probably better than wearing a facial covering all day for that employee.
The face shields do not exempt anybody from quarantine. So if you just wore a face shield and no mask, and you were in contact with somebody who tested positive, you would still have to quarantine. It's the mask that keeps both people from having to quarantine, just letting you know that.
Which mask?
Any two
Your cloth and N95, pantyhose? I mean, there needs to
Not
be
pantyhose.
specific.
A mask.
Technically, that may be the call, but I would feel better if a good plexiglass shield was between me and a business operator as opposed to each of us wearing a mask. That's a personal opinion.
So we're talking about two different things, Carrie. You're talking about a shield that the employee would wear. And Neil, are you talking about the divider between the counter divider between the employee and the customer?
What I'm talking about is under the quarantining, when the contact tracers are contacting the positives and then getting who they were in contact with. The face shield alone would not prevent the other individual who is in contact with the positive from being quarantined. The plexiglass would be the same, because if you're in a place, you're not just standing in that one spot, you're interacting with other employees. You know, at the post office, you're in the back, you're in the front, you're all over the place. So yes, the plexiglass is an extra layer of protection, but when it comes down to contact tracing, that individual would not be exempted from the quarantining due to just having the plexiglass there. If they had a mask on and the other person had a mask on, then they would be exempt from the quarantine. But the plexiglass or the face shield alone would not get them out of the quarantine part of it.
To answer your question, Dean, I'm talking about a plexiglass shield, not a facial shield made of plexiglass.
But Carrie makes a good point. You know, if there was an outbreak, if that person would have had a mask on and then did have the divider, that person would not have to go into quarantine. Isn't that what you're saying? If both the customer and the employee were wearing a face mask, correct, Carrie?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Well, I had quite a few emails and texts, and they were mostly positive about what we're doing. So I guess I would like to stay the course at this point in time, and maybe consider what Neil's talking about, and I think we're going to have COVID meetings probably, or COVID discussion every week here now for a while. Don't you think, Rich?
Well, I'm afraid of it, Dean. If you look at what we have on the books, first of all, it's not an ordinance. It's non-enforceable. We are giving, and these are all my opinions, the governor's decree is harsher than what we have. Our numbers have spiked so much in a week that I felt comfortable doing this because of the employees, not for our employees, but also for everybody's employees. If we require masks in our schools to a 10-year-old kid, surely a 35-year-old adult can wear a mask for 8 hours. I see that part of an argument just null and void. The ones that have the mask mandates in schools, as I look back at it, have lower county-wide issues. Not saying that the little kids are the ones that are spreading it. Their immune system and their body, as what I've read, they may have a fever and they would never know it. Their fever has to get to the 103 range probably before they even know they have one. So, and those are the ones that spread it back and forth, even though they don't contract it very much. I also feel that the way we've done this gives the employers an opportunity to say you need to wear a mask and blame the county. I took that blame off of the owner of the business because he's probably fighting 10 to 20% of the people that come into his business won't come in if he requires it. So we're actually taking the blame for this, and I'm fine with that because that's part of the territory. We have employers that are struggling finding people in order to stay open, and as this continues, it's going to get worse. We all know the ambulance program going on down here. We're running on a skeleton crew, and we can't afford it anymore, and they're in direct contact a lot. So, and they do a great job of trying to keep from getting it, but it's a matter of time. We have trouble in our treasurer's office with a low employee count. We're going to start losing our own services that we offer to the public if we don't do something. What we were doing was not working. Now, maybe it was not working because the people that were told that they had it didn't stay home. And as I found the emails this weekend, I'll probably get a lot more, but I'm going to say it anyway. I have found a lot of people that have a law degree and a lot of people that have a medical degree. So I'm leaning towards the Board of Health, which has doctors on it. They've made a suggestion. I got to yield to them on this. This is the right thing to do. It may not be the right thing to do, but we may not know for 3 or 4 more years. We won't know what the right answers are until then. Until then, I think the governor has give out guidelines with a mask. We can use the mask also. That's just my opinion of all this, and I'm pretty sure the hate mail will start here soon, but that's part of the territory.
You know, as far as wearing a mask for 8 hours, my dentist has been wearing a mask, I think five or 6 years, you know, and they basically wear them all day long. So, you know, it's not that, you know, our caregivers have been wearing masks for a long time, and they have to wear them, you know, and I give them a lot of credit for what they do, and they have to make that, you know, they're making some sacrifices themselves, but without that sacrifice, I don't know where we would be today, you know. So, well, I guess I don't see an argument there either, Rich.
Well, like I said, I know the caregivers.
That's my opinion too.
The caregivers are working hard, and what going to happen is we're going to start losing them, and then the elective surgeries are going to disappear again on us. In fact, they are in places now. If you have to be put out on a ventilator to do a certain medical procedure, that procedure is not getting done because they don't have the ventilators, because we're getting down to the bottom third of the ICU beds, which requires these ventilators. We're getting down to 30% in the whole region. It doesn't take much of a mathematician to figure out of every 100, if you get 8 to 10, and we have 700 just in one county, they get gobbled up pretty fast.
Well, Rich, it's not just the beds, it's the staffing. We're having issues with all through the hospital area that, from what I've been told, is that the staffing is running short because of people being sick, and then some people are just not able to cope with it anymore. You know, our numbers are just, you know, like yesterday, I just read this morning, in the United States, we went up from 1 million people in just 6 days. This thing is not going to dry up very fast. And another thing, I will agree with you, Rich. I'm gonna go take the recommendation of our local public health, because they're on the ground, boots. They know what's going on. You know, they're medical people. They've done research and stuff. I'm gonna go by their recommendations, and I think this is probably not a foolproof system, but it's the best we got right now, and I'm going to support it yet.
Nothing is 100%. And I think as a general statement, the people related to the medical community widely supported our mask mandate. And people who are against it are do not have a medical background as a general statement. I will say at 3 o'clock on Friday, I got gas at a local gas station. They had a sign right on the pump that a facial covering is required. I didn't go inside, but I saw some people trying to get inside without masks, and they went back out their car and got masked. They'll wear masks next time. So it is being enforced. I guess the whether or not it's effective is yet to be seen, but we're trying something, and it's supported by the medical community. It's not always supported by certain individuals, and that's fine. As far as my suggestion on plexiglass, Carrie brings up a good point. I'm not going to make a motion today to have that added to the resolution, but let's think about it for next meeting, and maybe we'll get some feedback from the medical community as far as a plexiglass shield between the business employee and the public and that type of thing. I think it's well worth considering anyway.
And Neil, I agree with what you're saying. I have had the same experience. I went out to the gas station, and there's a sign up also where I went to wear a mask. And I think I've been told by people they have seen a difference in some places where they've gone into now, that people are wearing masks more better than what they had. So I think I agree with you. I think it's making a difference already. What the outcome is going to be, we can't tell that yet.
Okay. And I agree with everything you guys are saying. And I have read every email and chart sent, either opposing or approval. And I do want to thank people for sending their opinions, because I value yours just like opinion, please value mine. I am still going to stand for personal responsibility and accountability. I strongly encourage face coverings, and I think that's how the board should move forward, strongly encourage. Throughout our county, each individual, each one of us are accountable for our own actions. Each business is accountable for their own actions. I also, and I'm just going to keep it at that, short and sweet, but I also am going to ask the general public, when you do have an opinion, be kind and be respectful to everybody, whether you're with them or against them. Just be kind and be respectful. You can be opposing with certain words. And I do believe this virus is moving quickly. I do believe Carroll County constituents can do what's best for everybody. It is not hard to wear a mask, but I do not stand for the word mandate, and I'm going to stand behind proclamations that are out there that is a bigger government than us. And I also think we went about approving this resolution the wrong way. But I do encourage people, if you can stay home, stay home. Social distance when you can social distance. Wear a mask when you're out in public. You do the right thing. Listen to your medical. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a lawyer. But I also think you need to hold. Now, quick question. Can everybody read all those comments, or do we have to read those out loud?
You know, Carl. And
Can you guys read?
If they open their chat window, they can see anything in chat. They should have an option to open up chat.
Yeah, I read the chat. I read the chats.
I think.
I just want to make sure you guys can see them.
Well, they just flash up here real quick and they're gone.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you can go back, I think, and you can go back to the chat and read them again.
Carl said if you open your chat, it would stay open.
Yeah, this does stay open. I would assume there would too.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes, the people that have put in your comments, we have a chance to read them.
I do see the theater has a request in there. I would say that we review that, and then if we want to, for the next week, look at that, and with Neil's suggestion that I agree, we're going to have to look at this every week, I think.
You know, and some of this, yeah, the governor has actually weighed in on mask mandates as well, you know, I think there was a chat comment there about going into a restaurant and taking this is what the governor had recommended, is to wear a mask into the restaurant, take it off, sit down, take it off, eat or drink, and then when you get up again, you put the mask back on again. So that actually comes from the governor.
And what we have done has not overridden the governor. It's just standing with her side by side. We're trying to bend this as far as we can without going to a full-blown ordinance. I am not scared of very few things. There's one thing I am scared of, and it's a full-blown depression. And if we shut these businesses down, very well could be right on the cusp of one. So what we're doing is giving them to stay open. We want them to stay open. We want them to be able to serve the public. So I think we should push the envelope as far as we can push it without doing a full-blown ordinance. I am not opposed to an ordinance, but I sure want to go about this in a lot more methodical way. So the comments are fine, I get them. But be respectful, because if you disrespect me, you're going to get it back. So, any more discussion on this?
Personally, I think we stay the course.
Stay the course.
I think we stay where we're at, but I still think we will take the face shield thing that Neil brought up. I think we should consider that and do a little more research on that one. See what that does to us. I heard Terry's side of it too, and it's a 2-week quarantine versus not. Is that correct? For Terry?
Right. 14 days.
Okay.
Well, and there was a comment in there from the theaters too, and I think that might be covered under the governor's mandate. I want to have some more time to read that one closer.
I want to get some clarification on that myself.
Yeah. One other thing I would ask though, Dean, and maybe you can do this for us. Becky give us those graphs and stuff. Could we have updates on that every week? Those graphs? Is that possible for her?
Yeah, probably. I know she had to do a fair amount of work, but since she has it already started, it probably wouldn't be that difficult. I'll go ahead and ask her.
Yeah,
That'd be a good idea.
I think that would be good to see how that thing continues.
That was my next question. Is there some more places we can watch this? And because if we do make a dip and we can sustain it, I'm more willing to pull this. And this is why we kind of copied what they had, because they had that option to pull it back if they need to. And they had an ending date on it, which I like that also. Okay, any comments from in here? John, would you like to say something? Okay, anybody? Okay. Comments slowing down a little bit. Carl, get them all.
Got another one here. Basically, the person said that their question was ignored last week. How many of the 70% of used beds are COVID related? Also, same person asking, a few years back when the flu was terrible and the vaccine wasn't effective, what percentage beds were used in Carroll County? I don't know that we can answer that.
I can't never answer that. Dean, do you know the percentage that we've seen of 38%? Were those available COVID-based beds, or were those just available beds, period?
I can't answer that, but I'm just saying they're probably COVID beds. You know,
I assumed that that's what she was talking about, and
Yeah.
And I will be honest with you, I know of two people that have had elective surgeries backed off already because of the bed situation. And that's another problem that we should be trying to avoid here. So it's pretty easy. Just put your mask on. It's not that hard. We got, like I said, we got 10, 11-year-old kids doing it all day long. They can do it. We can do it also. Not that hard.
So Rich, do we need to do anything different here to reaffirm ourselves, or?
I think we can put it up for discussion. I think we're right where we're at. I think we can just stay right where we're at.
Okay.
Courtney, do we need to put a resolution number on this resolution?
I already did that.
Okay,
It's on it's 15.
okay.
Obviously, you guys know I'm with strongly encouraging face masks, which is okay, and I respect your guys' opinion. But I do ask that we revisit this at least once a week. Even it doesn't need to be a long drawn out discussion, but please just revisit it.
No, like I said,
So we stay on top of it.
I'm more than welcome that, because like I said, if the numbers start going the other way, then I think we should consider taking it out. So people just do their part, and maybe we can turn this thing around. Okay. So I think we're good there. We'll move on. Next one, I'm gonna kind of lean on you a little bit here, Neil, the resolutions for.
Are we gonna have a discussion on the courthouse?
Courthouse COVID?
The courthouse?
Yeah.
I thought we were gonna talk about, are we gonna do anything different, or are we just gonna keep?
We're gonna keep the resolution
I'm talking
right.
about the courthouse.
The courthouse itself.
Yeah.
I was under the impression we're gonna try to lean back towards appointments only for a while. We got one office that's in trouble with employees, and I think there's one more back today.
She was going on vacation, so yeah, she's back.
Yeah, so that is gonna help, but we still have, there's a apportionment going on. Apportionments, is that going on?
I think,
Sounds like it could be going.
I think, Richard, with what we're having going on with the ambulance, I don't think there's nothing wrong with going back to appointments for the time being.
He has no, he said no problem going back.
Yeah, well, we've stuck with that through driver's license, and I think that's a good move, but I did talk to the judicial people. They're okay with us shutting the door if we want to, because they'll put a sign up. But I would rather not shut the door. I would rather just do appointments. Most of the offices are not super busy. The treasurer is the busiest one. So we can go to appointments only for, like I said, for a short period of time, maybe a month. That'll make a big difference in this.
Well, I think it'd be good that way, that we don't want to get where we get to the point that we have to shut down a office and then get behind on work. We want to keep the flow of work working that we keep current.
Yeah. Okay.
So what do we have right now in as far as a sign in the front door, Courtney? Is it the courthouse is open to appointments only, or how are we doing that?
There's no sign out there.
There's no sign out there?
Oh, 'cause we're open.
Yeah.
We're open. But I mean, we can be open to appointments only as well. We can, I mean, the door doesn't need to be locked,
No.
but. Is that what you're kind of thinking, Rich?
I'm personally, I'm okay with just, if they want to do just treasurers wants to do appointments only, I think that's perfectly fine. want to speak for Courtney's office, since she's here, and the other offices, but it appears to me that the foot traffic is pretty small, and if we use the sneeze guards and put a mask on when we approach the counter, and we got we can get the customer with a mask on, I think we should be in pretty good shape.
The treasurer, the auditor, recorder, they're all elected officials. I leave that decision up to them.
Okay, but I won't allow, and I'll fight them on it about locking the door. Because that affects a whole group of things that we still need to do.
They don't have the authority to lock the door. I'll just speak for the auditor's office. We will be open. I don't see the need for us to take appointments because we don't have a lot of traffic.
Rich, did you see the comment on why no
Yeah.
discussion on enforcement?
There was another comment in the chat. Did you guys have a chance to see it?
Yeah, I saw that. And I was gonna bring it up if you weren't gonna bring it up, Rich.
Carl just brought it up. I think we have discussed the enforcement of it. We are gonna leave it to, it's basically leaving it in the hands of the people. If you want enforcement, stop wearing them. I'll be honest with you, because the next step is an ordinance. And that's gonna be real controversial. But we're just trying to encourage the businesses to go ahead and follow our lead. We'd like to see the cities follow our lead. Get as many masks on as we can get on. That's the best shot we have right now.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think that's, enforcing this is going to be extremely difficult, and I don't know that we're to that point. But it's not to say that at some point in time, if we see these numbers go up, if we see that our hospital is maxed out, if our hospital staff is begging for some support, we may have to do something. So I mean, it's up to the residents of Carroll County to make it right. So I guess that would be my point.
Okay, let's go back to finish up so just instruct if the treasurer wants to go to appointments only, that's fine, but we're still gonna have the doors open and there will be some walk-in traffic.
If everybody's comfortable with that, I'm concerned about some of our smaller staff departments that, we start losing one or two out of there, we're done.
Yeah, and I hope we don't get to that point.
But if they feel they can do it, I guess that's fine. That's more power to them.
If we leave that as muddy as possible.
You said you left it up to the elected official whether or not.
Exactly.
The doors can be
I mean, if you feel that you're down to one person, you gotta shut the door.
I feel like we already put my office at risk when we were the election,
We
having
did.
people vote here that were supposed to be in quarantine, so.
Yeah.
We dodged that bullet, and we're probably safer now. We're back now,
I
so.
think you're absolutely right. I mean, I know of several instances where people, but they feel good.
So, and like I said, I'm only speaking for the auditor's office, but we just don't have the foot traffic that we need to make appointments, so.
You're a whole different office.
Yep.
Okay,
All right.
so now I'm gonna lean on Neil here, your resolutions for Humboldt County and Pocahontas County. You want to give a brief overview on that, please?
Yeah, I'd be glad to. First, Dawn would like to come to each board and talk to us with COVID-19. She decided not to, and we respect that decision. As far as Humboldt and Pocahontas joining, the reason that they're asking to join our region is because they were going to become orphan counties, and they had to go somewhere. They had about 3 different ways they could go. They decided that they wanted to go to Rolling Hills Community Service Region because they thought we're the best managed region. We're thankful that they think of us that way. First of all, if Pocahontas is not approved, Humboldt County cannot join because they will not be contiguous. You know, I'd prefer that they be switched around 4 and 5 on the agenda, but I don't think it's going to be an issue. So I'm not going to make one out of it. Background, I asked all of you for comments. The biggest comment I had was, are they going to be treated? How are they going to be treated financially coming into the region? Are they going to be givers or takers and that type of thing? And people on our board were also concerned about Woodbury County. Are they going to be treated like Woodbury County? First of all, there's a big difference. Woodbury County was a big decision. It basically doubled the population of our region. Accepting Humboldt and Pocahontas County was not such a big decision because they didn't involve as many people. To answer your question, whether they're going to contribute or take from the region, the answer to that question is they're going to contribute. They have very few services. They're going to use our services. They're going to contribute at the same rate that the rest of the people are contributing. So they're going to contribute money. I had a talk with Woodbury County before this vote was taken at the by our board, the Board of Rolling Hills Governance Board, and they are in favor of it. So I think, and we're also concerned about future counties, if there are any, and there probably won't be any that want to join our region, that they be treated the same or similar. And this all met my satisfaction. Both Pocahontas and Humboldt County have read our 28E agreement. They aren't proposing any changes. They realize that if they join us, they're part of a region, and they aren't two counties operating on their own individually and are just a sideshow. They're going to be part of a region. They're going to contribute an equal per capita with the current Rolling Hills member counties, which will be an increase for them. If it's approved, it has to be approved by the majority of the counties in Rolling Hills, which I suspect that will happen. And it will be effective on July 1st, 2021. All county and regional mental health funds will be managed by the CEO and governance board. We're going to get a certain amount of money in excess of 100,000 from each county as they join the region, because that's what is left as their share of the region they're in, which is called the County Social Services. That's about all I have for background. Are there any questions that I need to answer, or any areas I need to cover?
I have two of them, Neil. The memorandum of understanding, did the board all approve of the chair signing that?
Yes, the governance board met, and it was all but one county voted in favor of having them join and allowing the board chair, which is Paul Merton, to sign that. But each county in the region, Carroll County, Crawford County, et cetera, needs, the majority of the counties need to approve that they join. If that doesn't happen, they're under the understanding that they won't be allowed. And let's take a scenario that the majority of the counties do not let them join. I don't think that will happen, but if it would happen, then DHS would assign them a region, and they'd probably assign them to our region anyway. So by taking this route, we are, in a better bargaining position with Humboldt and Pocahontas County. And we didn't really have any problems with them. They're basically in agreement with everything we asked of them. Does that answer your question, Rich?
Yep, it does. And my next question is, are they coming in with a weighted vote like the rest of us have?
Yes, they will have the same vote as each of the member counties, which I believe is a weight of 3. And the 2 other people who are members of our board but are not counties have a weight of 1. So they'll have a weight equal to each county that's currently in the region, which is greater than the other 2 representatives, which are representing the children that we serve.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions?
Do you foresee any infrastructure necessities going forward, like another crisis center, since we're going to enlarging our region?
No, I don't foresee that, Dean. Of course, when you're asking somebody to predict the future, you're asking quite a bit, but I don't foresee that as a problem. And I had that same question, basically more from a management point of view than what you're talking about, which is a service point of view. And they don't anticipate that their small population, which are not big users of service, will be a problem. To dig into that a little bit more, we have looked at what services they do use and what extent they do use them and the amount of money that they do contribute. And they're going to be net contributors rather than users of services for our region, Dean.
Okay, sounds good.
When you say net contributors, are they also going to be adding some services to us that they currently have or not?
No, they do have some services. They have a couple of hospitals that have very limited services. I guess I'm not able to get very specific about what services they are going to add, but they're very, very few, and they need to be accepted by our CEO. So they're not going to contribute very much or anything at all. You just won't say nothing, as small as it is, as far as services. What they're going to contribute is more money than what they're using of the services that they will be using or have been using.
Like in the situation of Woodbury, we've got some additional services from them, right?
Yeah, it's tough to compare. One thing I was asked to do was make the Woodbury equivalent with the Pocahontas Humboldt, and it's not comparing apples to apples because, like you said, Gene, Woodbury had a lot of services, some services that we wanted, and and then they were quite expensive actually, but Woodbury did contribute a lot of services, whereas Pocahontas Humboldt will not be doing that.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions?
So was John present to have any to take any questions about whether he approved of the resolution and the memorandums? Is he okay with them? I guess that's my question.
I didn't shoot them by, John, and maybe I should have. It's something I didn't think about. You're talking about our county attorney, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's very similar to what we did with Woodbury County. If you want to run it by him, you can, we can. I have no objection to that. Although I don't see a great need for it either.
It's basically boilerplate from the past
Yeah,
resolution.
since he was
Yeah,
there, I was
yeah.
just wondering if he had any comments on it.
No, I didn't ask him for any comment. If I felt it was necessary, I would have.
Sure.
And like I say, I have no objection to doing that. We have 30 days to prove this, I might add. So I'd like to do it today, but we don't have to do it today. If the board would like to have John look at it, that's fine with me.
He made no comment while he was here. I've never known him to not do that if he had an opinion about it, so. We certainly can, but I'm comfortable going forward too.
I'm okay with going forward as well.
So am I. I mean, it's basically just boilerplate like the last ones.
He approved it. Correct me if I'm wrong, Neil, but the first time that this memorandums came up, he did originally look at them. You guys are just adjusting them now for different counties that wanted to join. Is that correct?
I think he did look at it when this is not the first time we've had that. First, we had Cherokee County join a region. Then we had a big decision with Woodbury. And now we have Pocahontas and Humboldt, which are very small. I think John did look at it originally.
And Neil, wasn't Ida also an add-on?
No, I think they were part of our community, weren't they?
I don't think they were part of the original, I don't think.
Who?
Ida.
Ida
Oh,
County.
they were.
Were they? Okay.
Yeah.
I know we've done this several times.
They haven't been very active. They attend very few of our meetings. Ida County is quite an exception to the rest of the board. They're just going along with the flow, I guess. I'm getting off the subject a little bit. There has been some discussion about, hey, if you aren't going to vote, why are you a member? But that is kind of gone by the wayside because they haven't caused any, they've been agreement with all our votes. So they're letting us run their business for them, I guess.
As long as they contribute.
And they do. So, okay.
What's the wishes here? Do you want to attack them one at a time?
Yeah, I think we should if there's a resolution.
Neil's written.
I would say if Pocahontas is contingent or Humboldt's contingent on Pocahontas, I do Pocahontas.
Okay. So we're gonna switch it around and I'd like to do the Pocahontas one first. That way we get the right appearance there.
Okay, I'll move, I'll get it started, that we approve resolution number 2020-17 with Pocahontas County, then their request to join Rolling Hills Community Services Region.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Okay, it's a resolution. I'll call for the vote.
Roll call.
Yes.
Houseman,
Yes.
Miners,
Yes.
Shetler,
Yes.
Yes.
okay, motion carries.
All right, I'll jump in on the next one. I'd make a motion that we consider resolution 2020-016 Humboldt County request to join the Rolling Hills Community Services Region. I'll take a second on that, if anybody would like.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Who wants that? guys both said it at the same.
Yeah, you both said at the same time.
It's either Dean or Neil. I don't know who is first.
Take a pick.
All right, I'll give it to Neil.
Give it to Neil. We'll
Thanks.
blame Neil for
Okay.
it. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Okay, I'll call for the vote.
Ruggles,
Yes.
Houseman,
Yes.
Miners,
Yes.
Yes.
Bach,
Yes.
and motion carries.
Okay. All right, the next thing up is the manure management updates. The first one up is Daniel Carroll. Section 26 of Jasper Township. No change. Dale Ludwig, Section 11 of East Township. No change. D&D Clucky, Section 22 of Eden Township. No change. Kevin Baumover, Section 10, Maple River Township. No change. Matthew Halbert, Section 25, Iowa Township of Crawford County. That's a new complete MMP application. Double D Port, Sections 34 and 35 of Eden. That's an original. Okay, committee report. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, I've got the insert. Stephanie had a letter of support for Western Iowa Networks. Stephanie, don't get it.
Real quick, I'll just go through this. Kevin Skinner, the CFO from Western Iowa Networks, reached out to me late last week, so I do apologize for the late notice on this. So I drafted a letter of support, and I'll read it real quick. It's short and sweet.
Stephanie,
Yes.
for confidentiality, I would leave the names of the cities out.
Okay, will do.
I can address that later after you read the letter.
Okay, actually, you know what? You guys all received this letter. I can just give a little snippet. This is just the board. If the board wishes to stand behind its support for this application, Western Iowa Networks is working in a region in Carroll County that would like support from the Board of Supervisors. With your approval, I'd like to have this signed. I don't know if each and every one of you needs to sign, or if Rich just needs to sign if you've all read it.
Well, I'll just throw something in there too. I was contacted by Kevin Skinner from Western Iowa Networks through email on Friday, and he asked me to address this. I constructed a letter as well, but I think we should just go with Stephanie's. I'll probably send a letter of encouragement on my own, so I'll just do that.
So remember,
But there is something though, Stephanie, that and I sent a map out. Did you see that map, Rich?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so this includes not only the area that you pointed out, Stephanie, it included 2 other areas. So I just want to make sure that we have, it accurate.
That map gets sent out to everybody, or?
I sent it to Rich, and we can send that to everyone. That if there's any changes, as long as we approve the letter, any changes could be made going forward. That's the way I look at it.
would you like me
But
to?
there are 2 other areas that are involved in this.
You could say the proposed area for expansion does not have adequate internet. These include but aren't limited to.
We could
And
take.
the other thing too, the other thing too is that this is, if we get it in time, which would be the end of the week, it will be submitted with the application on Friday. So, and this goes to the office of, I think
Chief Information Officer.
Chief Information Officer, and they've been doing this for about 6 years now, and this is the money, the dollars that are available for the grant are internet tax dollars. So that's where the money comes from, and it's a good program that they have. Western Iowa Networks has been beneficiaries of this in the past, so I support it. But one thing I will say, as far as on the confidentiality, I don't think they want, and I think that's, you can kind of understand that, right, Stephanie?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think they want to put something out there that people expect, and then if it doesn't get approved, then it doesn't happen. So, and that's one other point that I will make. If this grant is not awarded to Western Iowa Networks, the project will not get done. So
what, and thank you for that insight. You want us to, and I have no problem real quick, or Courtney actually has the document up on her computer. We can remove the actual specific areas just from that sentence. Did you want to keep your name on this letter of support or remove your name from this letter of support?
no, I'll support it. Yeah, but I'll send one also on my own.
Okay, but just and your recommendation is remove the specific area, correct?
Yeah, remove the specific area.
Okay, we'll do that.
When they get the letter, when the office of Chief Information Officer gets that, they'll know what it's for, because it's all going to be in the same packet.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
At the sample letter we have, it has each of us signing it. I would propose that we just have the chairperson sign on our behalf in order to get it done timely.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
Okay, so I think we would like to have a motion on that, please.
I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve the letter of support.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion on that? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, and opposed? Motion carried. I will
So
get,
Rich, could you, or Courtney, could you make sure that map gets sent out to everyone?
I never got them.
okay, I'll get that to Courtney.
Okay.
I'll also work with Courtney here and see if she's got time to get the letter changed. And I'll get it signed, and if Stephanie wants to wait for it, she can hand deliver it today, that we speed the process up. Is that okay?
Okay.
All right. Next thing up is committee report. Who would like to go first?
I can go first. Last week I did the paper and the radio. And then on Thursday, I sat in on the Highway 30 phone conference. There was not a lot of difference there, more of an update on things. And then also on Thursday, then I went to CADC, give away the Experience of Excellence Award to Templeton Rye. Did attend that. And then Friday was the board meeting. This week, I have meetings with Manning on the 2 mile zoning. Today's at 5:30 and Wednesday's at noon and 5:30, and then Friday's at noon. Then Thursday, I think we're having another jail meeting. Is that correct?
That's what I have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then also on Friday, I have 10 o'clock, I have my meeting with Cherokee. Oh, and one thing I will comment, I don't know if the rest of you seen this, but I got an email here earlier during our meeting from ISAC that Monona County's supervisor, Mike Hollison, passed away yesterday.
I just got that from a Tammy Norman.
Yeah. That's my report.
Thanks, Dean. Did you say you're doing the radio and newspaper?
I did it last week.
No, I thought you said you're gonna do it again.
I'll do it this week.
Neil will bail you out.
could
I
do it.
generally do it after Gene, so I'll do it this week. I'll give my committee report since I've already started. This week I've got the radio and newspaper. Wednesday, I have a meeting with the Coalition of Human Services, and Thursday, I have the Shive Hattery meeting. Last week, I didn't have any meetings except our special meeting on Friday, which where we considered our resolution.
Thanks, Neil.
I can go next. Last week, we had a scheduled conservation board meeting, but everyone got an email from Jason that his wife and son had tested positive for coronavirus, so he was remains basically in quarantine this week yet. But he did send out kind of an update of the agenda. Snyder Tree Service and Goody Tree Service had submitted some bids to remove 64 stumps in the park, of which where the majority were ash trees that were removed. The Snyder bid was $4,600 and the Goody bid was $6,500. So they picked the lower bid. The barn siding project at Swan Lake is completed, as well as the trail repair done down in Coon Rapids on by Cardinal Drive. They're looking at replacing their track loader, of which was a hand-me-down from Secondary Roads years and years ago, and it's requiring basically an overhaul. The undercarriage on the the track loader really is in disrepair as well. So I think they're going to scrap it and probably do as Secondary Roads has done and get a new track skid loader that would do almost today about the same thing that track loader did back then. So they're looking into that, and that there'll be more discussion on that. Also, there's a bridge on the Sauk Rail Trail, and this would be the first bridge north of 140th Street that is in, they're looking at some repairs to be made on that, and Murphy is going to look at that and give them a bid on that. EMS is going to start installing their Christmas display, and I think that's about it for conservation board on Thursday. Thursday had three Zoom meetings. The first one was with Scott Jacobs and David Furyk from the city of Fort Dodge, and this was on the contract that is almost actually past due, and that needs to be signed by March of this year. And of course, I've talked about the item in contention. There was the part in the contract where they talk about workman's comp and insurance, and Mr. Furyk agreed to remove that part of the contract. So he's going to take that out of the contract, and he's going to present then the contract to his city council for discussion. So we have a meeting coming up this week with Region 5. So I guess we'll find out then what the results of that is going to be. I was on the Highway 30 Coalition conference call, or I guess it's Zoom now, with Gene, and David Rose, he wasn't there, but he did say that there is going to be he foresees a transportation bill in Washington DC this year. So we haven't had a transportation bill for a long time, but he feels that that's going to happen this year. The DOT is reporting that the construction is wrapping up in Denison. I guess I didn't even know they were redoing that. I don't know if anybody's been through that area, but I haven't been.
I think it's just a resurfacing type thing.
Is that what it is? Okay. So he also said that Snyder and Associates are going to do an economic study. There's about $18,000 in the Highway 30 Coalition Treasury, and so they're going to use some of that money to do an economic study from Ogden to Carroll, and Snyder Associates will be doing that. But otherwise, yeah, I think it's just pretty much what Gene said as far as updates. We had the Board of Health meeting at noon on Thursday, and you know, aside from basic updates, I think the bulk of the discussion was about COVID-19, and I think we pretty much covered that Friday when Becky gave that presentation, and I'm not going to say any more on that. We'll have to move forward on that. But there was basically updates from all members, and there was nothing really. We're moving up to the mid part of the budget year, so there'll probably be more information at the next meeting in January. So let's see. This week I have a Region 5 Hazmat meeting on Wednesday, and then I had a jail meeting on Thursday. Any questions?
No, I can go next. Last week I had a daycare meeting. As you guys are aware, I did send out an email or a text message informing that they were going to close for a few days. They are back up and running today. They are asking parents that are able to stay home to keep their children home with them. We went over their financials and approved the financials. If you guys need to see that paperwork, I can get that to you. Then later that night, we had a WESCO meeting. Everything is going well at WESCO. We approved their income statement and check written. Couple updates. CART will be in their facility. I think they're going to be using this time, but December 9th, 10th, and 11th. And 11 managers and assistant managers are going through the RAP program training. And that stands for Wellness Recovery Action Plan. And then another big note is Stepping Stones. The second site is moving along rather nicely, and project date opening is November 9th. This week, I have another another daycare meeting today at 4:30. And then I want to do a quick reminder of the City of Manning's meetings, which is today at 5:30, tomorrow at noon at 5:30, and then Thursday, the 20th, Friday at noon. I will be attending Wednesday the flat at 5:30, and then Thursday have a jail meeting at 9, and Friday, Dean, do we have emergency coalition? It's this week, right?
Yeah, I think so. I guess I don't know. I have to look.
It kind of pops up on our calendars.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. That's it.
Okay, first off, last week, Dean had called me and he set in on the Board of Health on Thursday. And I did get in, and the meeting started at noon, and I got a chance to hear what I thought was the real important information, and they did a good job of moving that up because I had to bail out of there to join the 12:30 meeting for Region 12 and to make sure we had a quorum. So those were the two, and the Region 12, I'll give you a couple of highlights. Last Friday was Tom Feldman's last day, and the new person is gave all the presentations. I think Tom's got him well trained
And they'll miss Tom. He's been a very good employee out there. We also had the Region Development Corporation. We had 4 loan applications. We did 4. One was pulled back because of a change. Requesting information that was being requested. We have the housing in Jefferson. That was the prisoner housing. We have 2 pending sales on both of the homes that are there, so that has went quite well. They're not completely closed yet, but it appears that we may have them both possibly sold. The next thing up was on Friday at noon, another Zoom call that was at WIOA. It's the local workforce development part, leadership. That's a statewide Zoom meeting. That seems to be going very well. Most regions are up and running and have most all of their fulfillments done. There's just a little bit of, there's a few places, and I think our region is one of them. We're looking for a specific gender in a specific size business and a specific, whether they're a Republican lady and a specific size. So once we get that filled, our board will be full, and that's where we would like to be in the next 30 days. The next thing up was on last Tuesday, the waste agency. Highlights there were we had a large ammonia spike. First time we've ever had one. And as we worked with both companies, there are consultants, we kind of pinpointed it down to the lack of rainfall has not diluted this ammonia like it has been in the past. That's how dry it's become inside the leachate area that we have involved now. We think the ammonia is come from yard waste that has been built up, that gets dumped into the waste, the dump that's been in there. And many years ago, yard waste was put in there on a regular basis. Now it's not quite as much. But that spike came, and that did cause a problem with the city because it killed most of their bacteria. So that's in their lagoon system. So we had to, we come to a conclusion on how much it would cost to help recover that bacteria. And they billed us for it, and we did pay it. 92% of our power being used up at the maintenance building is being all generated now by solar. We've seen a pretty good reduction. We did receive a large grant, so we only paid about 50% for that to begin with. And it appears in about anywhere from a 9 to 10 year payback, and we'll have that paid off. Well, we haven't paid off, but that's be our recovery for the money. Number 8, news is up to $180 per ton. That typically is around $6. We can't put our finger on it, but we're not going to knock it. We're just going to keep putting it out and keep sending it. That was the waste agency. Upcoming this week is I'm going to try to attend the meeting tonight in Manning because I want to hear this information firsthand about the two mile zone. I also probably will try to attend one on Wednesday. I'm going to try to, that's the goal right now. I want to be there at least twice to hear the information firsthand. And I want to hear, especially see the crowd size, and because I've had a lot of calls about it, and I anticipate that it could be a pretty large crowd the first couple. Then I have the baiting construction on Thursday. They're gonna give us an update on the jail. And then, that should do me the rest of the week. Courtney, do you have anything? He does not. Any comments, Carl, yet? You haven't put anything up, so.
No, no comments.
All right, anybody
I
else?
would also like to thank the public for their input on these last couple weeks on some of our discussions. You know, they may think we don't read them, but we do. And I do appreciate those comments, whether they're positive or negative or pros or cons. So I do thank them for responding to us.
Yeah, and I do too, Gene. I just want them to keep it civil. I've had a couple of those go astray this weekend, but that's part of the territory. All right.
There's no other discussion. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for adjournment. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Gentlemen.
Thanks.